Okay. We got a lot of fun things planned throughout, till the end of the year. I can't believe it's coming up so fast. So we want you to enjoy all those things, including today's presentation. We're very lucky to have a great collaborative relationship with the town library. I don't think you know how lucky you are. This does not happen in every community, that the town library and the schools work so well together. We're very lucky that it's so close, where many people do get a chance to visit. And I know that they've been very proactive in getting opportunities for you to learn and also to have fun. Okay, so today, Ms. Ellen Snowinbus is here to talk to you about what the library has to offer. Okay, some of the things you may know and a lot of things you aren't going to know. Okay, so again, as she speaks today, you give her 100% of your attention because there's some great information that will be shared. So how about a round of applause for our town librarian, Ellen Snowinbus.
Okay, I see a lot of familiar faces here today. And isn't it exciting to think entering 8th, entering 9th? It's very exciting. So I didn't want to say 7th and 8th grades. I wanted to say entering 8th and entering 9th grades. So I'm going to quickly talk about a few things that we're doing at the library over the summer. Summer's a great time to unwind and do things a little more on your own. And we've got a bunch of stuff planned that is you can do in the building and outside the building, because we're all about remote access. And then I'm also going to talk about a whole bunch of books that you might want to consider reading over the summer. Not for a class, not for a grade, just for fun. So keep an eye out for some things that you might find interesting. Keep an open mind, too, because a lot of times, even adults, they say, like, oh, I'm not a reader. I really hate reading. I just want to watch videos. And then they get they pick up a book that kind of piques their interest. And you'd be surprised, like hours can go by and you don't even notice it. So keep your mind open to figuring out which of the list of books, from the list of books I'm going to talk about, you might find interesting. Okay, so to start with, we have a brand new reading tracking system. When you were little, you probably did the summer reading program where they stamped the reading log and they wrote things down. Well, we're moving on, and the teens and adults are now going to participate too. It's called Beanstack, and it's an app on your phone. And you can download the app called Beanstack and find the West Bridgewater Library. And looks like that. You can't really see it, but it's on my phone. And you can enter your 14-digit library code number 2161100. Everybody in West Bridgewater has that beginning of their number, and then the rest is your private number. And then you can log what you read, and you can actually take a picture of the number on the back of the book is called the ESBN, and you can just scan it, and it'll remember it, and then you can win prizes throughout the summer. So that's a lot of fun. So when you come in next time, check that out. Oops. Going ahead of myself a little bit here. Yeah. Listen, we did the essay contest last year. We have even more money at stake. We have 2 banks that are contributing money. So if you write an essay this summer between 500 and 750 words about something you believe, and it doesn't have to be something religious, it can be just some kind of value that you hold high. It's called a This I Believe essay. And This I Believe is actually a worldwide initiative that people participate in. And we're going to do that here in West Bridgewater. And we're looking for people, just thoughtful people who might have something to say about a reason why they might believe this and that. And you could just write it down to let us know why you believe it, what happened to make you believe it, and then submit it to me either by email or in person. And then the winner will be, the first prize is $250. So it's not pocket change. So if you want to win, and then second and third prize are a little bit less. If you want to win actual cash, you might want to enter that contest. Oops. Oh, I keep going ahead of myself. Another funny contest the adults are going crazy over. Okay, this was one of our trustees who came up with this idea. take a picture of yourself, like find a picture of yourself when you were like a little baby or a little kid doing something goofy, and then take a picture of yourself doing the same thing now and submit it. If you Google this, oh my gosh, it's really funny. It's really funny. Nothing weird, nothing too kinky, just, good-hearted humor. But it can really be fun, as you can see. And there are cash prizes for the winner for that. Okay, guys, I just came back from New York. I was at the Book Expo, and I got a whole bunch of what they call galleys, advanced readers' copies of books that have not been published yet. And I got this idea from another library, and what they do is the librarian gives out the advanced reader's copy to someone, they read it, and then they write an online review, and frequently the review gets published, and then you get to keep the book. So it's a fun way of learning, and you'll get to read the book before anybody else does because it hasn't even been published yet. So if you're interested in this, let me know, okay? In July, we're doing an escape room. This is going to be run by someone who runs them normally, and so you have to sign up for that. We're having 2 sessions on a Friday, so that's going to be fun. The same week of July, we're doing a stargazing, moon gazing. Does anyone know what it's the 50th anniversary of this year?
I do.
Having to do with the moon, hint, hint, hint. The moon landing, right, Victoria got it. It's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, and so we're going to have the South Shore Astronomical Society come and help us look at the moon. Okay, I'm going to wait for it to be quiet again. Okay. Check out the time of day. Isn't it fun to be outside late at night? It's cool. Yeah, we're going to do it over in Friendship Park. Okay, so that's just a basic rundown of all the activities that we're planning to do over the summer. And you can win money, you can win prizes. The adults are going to be in it too. And you can tell your parents to enter the summer reading program to win. The grand prize for the adults is a year's worth of trash and recycling pickup by J.P. Noonan, which is an expensive gift. So anyway, all right, these are some of our online resources. We have Beanstack. I talked about that with you before. We have our mobile app, so you can keep track of what you've checked out through the mobile app. We've got Hoopla. You can download movies, videos, audiobooks, and ebooks. And Libby, the same thing. So you don't have to be in the library to use the library. That's a big message. You can use the library remotely. All right, I'm ready to start the books. I don't know, but some of you might be history nerds like me. Has anyone heard of Benedict Arnold? Okay. All I knew about Benedict Arnold was that he was a traitor to the country, right? But who knew he had been a hero before that? So this is the story written by Steve Sheinkin about Benedict Arnold. You may have read this in school, I don't know. Is this a school read? Oh, okay. Anyway, it's a great book about a really fascinating guy who started out as a hero and turned into a traitor. Another history book that's awesome is this one, The Greatest Treasure Hunt in History. Anyone see the movie Monuments Men with George Clooney? Okay, put your hands down. This is the story of the Monuments Men. It's written by a guy who just was fascinated by the whole thing. And what's great about this particular book, it's a teen version of the real book, but it's got a ton of photographs, letters from Goring to Hitler, letters from General Eisenhower before he became president. You know, he ran D-Day and all the rest. And the very, very tense, scary story of the American GIs who went in with the first wave of liberators to try to save the art of the Western world. It's really exciting. Okay, so here's something completely different. It's by an author who I love, Ruta Zapetti. Some of you might have read Between Shades of Grey, about the Lithuanian evacuation to the gulags. Anyway, she wrote this book after that one, and it's set in New Orleans, kind of back in the 60s. And the girl is, her mother is living in a brothel. Her mother is a prostitute. Yeah. And so she lives in this really seedy place where people are taking advantage of people and everything. But luckily, she has a job in a bookstore around the corner. So the bookstore kind of becomes her family. And she dreams of becoming a writer and really making something of herself. But she's drawn into the seedy underworld of New Orleans. So that's a really good read, too. Oop, too far. Ghost. Anyone read this one yet? This is really popular. Yeah. This, I think I might have talked about this the last time you guys came to a book talk at the library. This is the first of a series of 4 about a middle school track team. And each of the kids on the team has a different story about how they got on the team and what kinds of challenges that they face, how they became runners in the first place. So that's a really good one. It's short, too. Okay, here's a really funny one. Anyone know about Sophie Kinsella? She writes the Shopaholic books. I don't know if anybody's read the Shopaholic books. Anyway, this is a book about Audrey, who has social anxiety. It's set in England, so you have to, there are little English Britishisms that you sort of have to absorb. But anyway, it's sort of romantic, and she's got a great family, but they've all got their issues. And she doesn't want to leave the house at all. She has so much social anxiety. So she goes to a shrink, and that lady helps her, and she figures things out. And one of the things her shrink tells her to do is start making a movie about her family. So some of the book is like the script of the movie. And of course, it's just real life. And so you're watching these people do just crazy things of normal everyday life in their family. So that's really good. Okay, oh, too fast. How many have read this one? This has been around a while. Yeah, okay, put your hands down. One of my favorite books of all time by Sherman Alexie is a Native American poet, but he wrote, this is kind of his story. He grew up on the reservation in eastern Washington, and then his English teacher said, you've got to go to a different school. The school here is just not good enough. You're a really smart kid. And so his father drives him miles and miles and miles to go to a different school. And so he feels like a complete outsider. And you think, oh, this is going to be one of those poor me stories. And it's not. He gets on the basketball team. He goes to prom. It's really, really, really funny and very lighthearted. And he's a cartoonist. So you see some of his cartoons in the book as well. So this won the National Book Award. It's so, so good. You probably haven't read Pride and Prejudice yet. You probably will in high school. But what's fun about this book is that it's the romantic story of Pride and Prejudice set in Brooklyn, New York, in today's day. So it's set in Red Hook, New York, which is part of Brooklyn. And this rich family with these really cute guys moves into town, and the girl who lives in the down the street, she's like, those guys are just so stuck up. And like, I'm not going to have anything to do with them. And anyway, it's a really cute romance. Okay. All right, now we're into dystopian fantasy. Anyone read the Gone series yet? Gone. It's really creepy. Okay. Let me tell you the premise of this story. One day, all the grown-ups disappear. They're completely gone. And so, okay, the teens have to figure out how to survive. And it's kind of like, anyone read Under the Dome by Stephen King? or know the story, it's kind of like, who's doing this to us? And why? And I think there are 4 or 5 books in this series, so it's very exciting. It's kind of like Lord of the Flies, like civilization is falling apart and power becomes, people can become power hungry, and they, 2, 4, 6 books in the series, and they, you just don't know what's going to happen next. It's very exciting. Oops, I keep doing that. Spirit animals. This is actually a little bit for younger kids, but I loved it. I read it. What's fun about this series is, first of all, there's a video game to go with it, and each book is written by a different famous author. Like the first book, this one's called Wildborn, and it's written by Brandon Mull, who writes a ton of other things. If you wrote The Candy Shop Wars, he wrote that. And then Marie Lu and Maggie Stiefhauser, and they've all really famous teen writers have written. Each book is a different author. And the premise of this is that at a certain age, the kids in the society get a spirit animal, or not. Some of them don't get spirit animals, but they go through a ritual, and some of them get spirit animals. And the thing is, the 4 kids in this book, not only do they get a spirit animal, which is such a cool idea, don't you think? Yeah. I would love to have a spirit animal. Is that their spirit animals are ancient, powerful, wisdom-filled animals from the past. And their country is in a state of turmoil, about to be invaded. And so their spirit animals are going to try to help them save their country and regain power. The Apothecary. This has 3 books in this series. This looks like the cover's kind of babyish. It's not at all. It's not at all reflection. It doesn't reflect the book at all. It's set in the 1950s in London, okay? So there's this American girl. Her parents are like film producers, and so they're working in the film industry in England. They leave her kind of to roam around the city a lot, so she's on her own quite a bit. But she doesn't really know anybody, and so she goes to school, and she meets this kid named Benjamin, and they kind of hang out together, but it's not romantic. And Benjamin has this. His father is an apothecary. Doesn't anyone know what an apothecary is? No, it's not a weird animal. It's like a doctor. It's actually a pharmacist. A pharmacist. And if anyone remembers in Harry Potter, all of the spells and all the potions, and who teaches the potions class, right? So potions is a very powerful thing to know. And the kid's father, but this is the 50s, this is modern times. His father is sort of a bumbly guy. He's really nearsighted, and Benjamin just thinks he's a complete jerk. Well, it turns out he's a spy, and the Russians are trying to get state secrets from the British, and then he disappears. He completely disappears, and so Benjamin and Jamie have to go find him. Okay, Garth Nix. What can I say about Garth Nix? Garth Nix is one of the classiest and most famous fantasy writers living today. And this is his 7-part Keys to the Kingdom series. The first book is Mr. Monday, and it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, okay? And Arthur, the main character in the book, has asthma, but he's on the track team, okay? So he's running through London with his team, and he has an asthma attack, and he collapses, and he kind of goes into a coma. He completely loses consciousness. And when he wakes up, it just lasts for a couple minutes, he has this mysterious key in his hand. He has no idea what it goes to. And so part of the book is figuring out what door does this key open? And of course, it opens up this bizarre magical world of evil and good and he's got an awful lot. There's this house he goes into, and like the house, once you go into the house, like the whole universe is in there, and all of time, so you time travel inside it. It's just totally crazy. A lot of you may have read this book already, but I think it's really cool. And it's called the Warrior Series. Anyone read it already? It is just a lot of fun. And this first book is Into the Wild. We have the whole set at the library, and it's easy to find at other libraries too. And you think, oh, cats, big deal. It's really, the cats have their own society and own community, and they're territorial, and it's bloodthirsty. Good people die. All sorts of crazy stuff goes on, and it's like Game of Thrones. So I have to say it. I thought it was really good. Okay. Now we're getting into the graphic novels. I just have a couple on the list, but you know, if any of you guys have been to the library before, you know we have a large graphic novel collection, manga and other collections. And this is a really cool one. This is called Estranged. Estranged. And one of the kids lives in the fairy world, or they call it Fae. F-A-E. Okay, the Fae world is the imaginary world. It's like an imaginary world that you don't see, but it's all around you. And the other kid is in the human world. Okay, gotta go fast. So that's really... these are really gorgeous renditions of the two famous Greek classics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad is about the Trojan War, and the Odyssey is about Odysseus and his travels throughout the Mediterranean, all the strange and miraculous people and things he meets. And last but not least, oh, two more. Calvin and Hobbes. Oops. Oh, I keep doing. Oh, I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards. Here I am. I mean, I couldn't believe we had these bent up, ruined copies of Calvin and Hobbes. I said to Nanette, go out and buy a complete new set. So she did. She has a complete new set of Calvin and Hobbes. You know, it just covers a complete shelf's worth. And if you're ever feeling down in the dumps or kind of sad or like, I don't know what I want to do, pick up a Calvin and Hobbes book and you will laugh and be surprised. And it's about Calvin and his imaginary friend Hobbes. And of course, those are both the names of famous philosophers. And it's just the everyday philosophy of life. And then last but not least is this incredibly wonderful Academy Award-winning graphic novel by one of my favorite writers, Gene Yang. I've seen him at book conferences too. And this is really good. I think I book talked this to the 7th grade already. Did I? I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, it's beautifully illustrated, and there are 3 different storylines in it. And it's really about being different in a really bland place. Like Gene Yang himself grew up in San Antonio, California. San Jose, California. And like he was the only Chinese American in his class, and there were very few Asians at that time in his school. Of course, now that's completely changed, so it's much more diverse. But it really does speak, this book speaks to what it's like to feel different from everybody else around you, and how that gives you, in some ways, some power and insight. And in other ways, it's kind of a downer. So I highly recommend that. So that's my book talk. I could go on and on. And you know how to get to our library website, westbpl.org, and all the information about everything is here. So I hope you have a wonderful summer, and come by the library.